originally from Italy. I live in Italy, and I have studied in England when I was very young, as a teenager and as a university student. Then I moved to United States. I worked there for 10 years, and in the last 15 years, I've been teaching English in Italy. I teach mainly Cambridge. In fact, I am a certified Cambridge teacher. I teach to a student from primary school, high school, middle school, university, and adult, whoever wants to learn English. And I love my job. I have great students, and I'm happy to be here with you guys today.
Good
Hello,
morning, ma'am.
darling. Hello, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Please.
Nice to meet you, ma'am. Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
In what your experience, what are the most effective methods or resources for improving English fluency?
Okay. Be able to speak another language is not an easy task. What I found is that if I want to improvise a conversation with my student, it's very difficult, especially teenagers, because most of the time they don't know what to say about anything. So what I do, especially at the beginning, we read a text together, or I give them a task to do it at home, read a text, underline the fixed phrases or the keywords, memorize them, and then try to explain it. Maybe to write it down like the main concept, and then practicing repeating it. They can also record their own voice so they can listen to themselves. Then, of course, it depends on the level of the student, but with like teenagers, it works. I get great success because sometimes it's hard, like the pronunciation of the words, that they are difficult between Italian language and English language. So, but I found this very, like rewarded for the students because they can understand if they are improving, they can make it better something, you know. This is what I normally do to improve like the fluency of the language.
Thank
Hello, darling. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, ma'am. What about you?
Oh, great. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. My name is
Please.
Mamata, an 8th grader from ZPHS School, Adavara. I would like to ask you a question, ma'am. Can I ask?
Please, of course. Please, yes.
Here, my question is, what strategies do you use to help students improve their pronunciation and fluency?
Yes. Well, the pronunciation between English language and in Italian language, some words are very tricky, very difficult to pronounce. Also, because when I tell my students, especially the youngest one, English language, you write in a way and then you pronounce in another way. And there is not really, I can give them some grammar rules, but it's not always the same. So what I do, I write the words on the board and then I underline the difficulties, like with the I, that sometimes you pronounce it I, sometimes you pronounce it E. Yeah. So, and then like EA, sometimes you pronounce A and sometimes you pronounce in different ways. So what I do, I want them to see how the word is written, is spelled, but then the sound, let's say recorded, the sound of it. And it's only like with hard work, repeat, and be able to listen to the word when I say it. And then in this way they learn it. And with the youngest one, I'm talking about primary school where I teach in the morning, I sometimes record my voice for them. And so they can have me in their home as well, even if I'm not with them. This is what I do. And so far, I mean, it's a good help. It's a good help for them. what I do sometimes when I feel like the cooperation is not enough for the good of the child, I call a parent meeting just to explain, say, look, we all work towards the same goal, we all have the same aim, but remember, these children are your children, they are not mine, they are my students, so we need to work together. And so far, I mean, it's like they invest the time, they invest money, so they cooperate. But it's important also to explain to the family, for the youngest one, how important it is. Hello, darling. How are you today?
I'm fine, ma'am. What about you?
Okay, I'm very well, actually very well. Tell me.
I'm so glad to interact with you, ma'am. Can I ask you a question?
Thank you. Please, yes.
How do you make your English lessons engaging and effective for different types of learners?
Yes, this is very nice questions because what my colleagues tell me, I am not a typical Italian teacher. And what I mean by that is that I rarely sit on my desk. I am always walking around the class. I am always among my students because I want their total attention. So it's like I look at them straight into their eyes, like I keep eye contact with one and then the two and three and four. And I speak with my voice, of course, but also with my body. I tend to move my hands a lot. And this is a typical of Italian, of course, but it's important that they understand what I'm saying. Also with my body, when I explain the things, you see, even now I can't help myself by moving my hands. And also, I want them to interact with me. What I mean by that is if I have to, let's say, clarify something, and then I want a feedback. Okay, so what did we get from the lesson today? And it doesn't matter if somebody doesn't really take part to the conversation there and there, because I know it will do later when after gaining confidence, because we are all different. And what I like to say to my student is like, it doesn't win the person that gets there first, wins the person who gets there eventually. So we are all winners. No one is left out in my class. And so it's this, they feel that we work together, we are in this together. And also, I love what I do. And I think the students, especially young ones and teenagers, they feel it. But also, I teach to adults. And it's not easy to teach to an adult, to like a 40-year-old man or woman, or like a 50-year-old, because they are very like, they might be professionals. And then when they approach to English, they feel like child again. So important to praise them, to say, look, you're doing a great job, work hard, and then you will get a reward, then this and that. So I think in this way what I do, but mainly I think it's because I love what I do. I'm very lucky because I love my job. Oh, good morning or good afternoon. In Italy it's already afternoon, but yeah. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am. What about you?
Okay, I'm very well, thank you. Please.
My name is Gayatri Salvi. I'm studying 7th grade. Can I ask one question, ma'am?
Yes, please.
How has the approach to teaching English in Italy changed over the years, and what trends do you see in the future?
Yes. Okay. In Italy, I think that the approach to the English language has changed in the last 15, 12 years. And what I mean by that is that if you see Italian students are very strong grammatically. What I mean by that even our books are all like pure grammar. And at school, I'm talking about, let's say, high school, students are asked to memorize the grammar rule. I don't say that is wrong, but I don't totally agree with that, because it's important to understand and learn the grammar, because then in this way you can speak properly, you know? But also it's important, like we put the grammar into the communication. So like in the last, would say 12 or 10 years, a lot of parents have realized the importance of English language. So a lot of schools in my country, we have a lot of Cambridge schools, which are private, and parents, of course, have to pay, and they enroll their children to this school. But they study English as extracurricular activities. Then schools understood the importance of Cambridge certification, especially because if a student wants to go to study abroad, to have a Cambridge certification is very important. So schools as well organize, they call it PON, which are like, they organize the level. I don't know if you are familiar with the Cambridge.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with the Cambridge.
Yeah, this is what we do in Italy. Yeah, and it is important for the future. Well, I believe more and more people are kind of getting the thing that the importance of being able to speak English, because it's the only way we can communicate with other people. I mean, I don't speak your language, you don't speak my language, but hey, we are communicating.
Yeah.
And you know, and I live personally in a very touristic area. We have a tourists coming from all over the world, 12 months a year. We live on the coast, and the weather, the climate is very good. Also today, you know, so some people used to say before, like years back, they used to say, why do you need to learn English? You will never go abroad. But then they are realizing that foreigners are coming to us. And if you don't speak the language, well, it's very difficult to find a job in hotel, restaurant, bars, shops, you know. So at least like to have the basics to be able to communicate or to sell something. So I think like people are understanding more.
Yeah.
Thank you. How are you?
I am fine, ma'am. Thank you. My name is
Okay.
Kritika. I am an 8th grader from GBHS School, Ailoram. I am so lucky to interact with you, ma'am. Here, I would like to ask you
Thank
a
you.
question. Can I ask, ma'am?
Of course.
What are some common challenges Italian students face when learning English, and how do you help them overcome these difficulties?
Okay. I think in my experience, the most difficult challenge is like speaking, of course, because if you are not exposed, like you today you have been exposed to the language. If a student is never exposed to it, it's the difficulty that they found. What I do, it's like when I focus my lesson only on the speaking, of course, I have already in mind a topic we want to talk about. So what I do, I write on a board like a fixed expression or phrasal verbs or specific words or keywords. And then I try to talk about a topic that will involve these words. And then they will need to pay attention when I say it and what I mean by that. It's not very easy, it's not difficult, but they do. It's like if, for example, okay, yesterday I had a lesson and a student came across the expression keen on. I am keen on something. I am keen on somebody. And they ask me, oh, what does it mean, keen on? We don't know the verb, but on, what does it mean? What? So I explained it to them. And then I let them continue. When they all had finished their task, I said something. And I said, you know, when I was your age, I was not very keen on maths, but I was keen on history. And they go, oh, you didn't like maths that much, but you did like history. Well done, you got it. So you see, I come up with these phrases, this thing that I say, and then they realize it. And then when I say, please take notes, Take notes, because this is your doing. You take the notes. And then they do it. And then one day they learn something, another day they learn something else, and then it all adds up. You know, they don't become good students overnight. It's a process. It takes a time. With any languages, it takes a time. If you understand that and you are willing, it's like a journey. If you are willing to embrace the journey, then at the end, you will get a reward, because then you will be able to talk to people that are not, they don't speak the same language as you. And job-wise, maybe you don't understand it now, but job-wise is very important to be competitive on the market. So this is what I do, and try to be as, I'm not saying as fun as I can, because lesson, well, they have to be also fun, but it's important that we understand that we are doing a job, also because the parents pay. So, you know.
Oh, may I request you to take us, to give us a virtual tour of Italy?
Yes, I don't know how to do it, so I need to ask somebody's help in my house.
Okay.
I will ask my husband. I think I have to go with the computer. Okay, let's see if I can do it. I live in a private park. We call it private park, private area. And we are 5 buildings. My apartment is on the first floor. And I live here with my family. And today, I don't know if you can you see the outside? Not yet.
Okay.
Okay. It's a beautiful day today, you see it?
Wow, sunny day. Mm.
It's a very sunny day. This is what I'm saying about the tourism. Here we have a tourist 12 months a year. I live on the coast, but I don't see the sea from here, because I live more on the inside, about 10 minutes on foot from the coast. Okay. But here, do you see the mountain over there? I don't know if you see me.
Yes. Could you please show it a little bit lower? Yeah, lower. Yes.
It's very like a lot of trees and buildings, because it's not a city, it's a town. I don't know if you're familiar with, I live near Pompeii. If you're familiar with Pompeii, with the ruins.
Pompeii, yeah. I heard about
Pompeii. Yeah, I live about 10 minutes from Pompeii by train. And we have the train every 20 minutes.
Oh.
And and then I live about 20 minutes by train to Sorrento coast, if you know. And so it's nice. And like, you know, if you want to find a job in a hotel or in a shop in this area, the first thing they ask you, do you speak English? And list the basics, you know, because if you come to Italy and you go to a shop and you order something, you would speak English. And if I don't speak anything, I would go like, so I won't make a sale. And, you know, the owner of the shop is not going to be very happy. So is that why they understand nowadays that even if you work in a bar, in a restaurant, basic English, it's very important.
And moreover, Vikla, if your students or if anyone living in Italy wants to go outside Italy, I think they have to communicate with the English language. Am I right? Is there any other common language that you are able to communicate?
Of course. And you know, in the last 4 years, just after COVID, every summer for 2 weeks, I have been taking my students to Britain. And for 2 weeks, of course, the parents have to pay because it's not, you know, but it's very common in Italy. They travel for 2 weeks and we go to a campus and they have English lessons in the morning and they engage with students from all over the world. I mean, last year we had Colombian friends, Spanish friends, Greek friends. There was a group from Pakistan, and then we had some friends from China, friends from South Korea. And it's amazing because, you know, teenagers need to realize, you know, because we can tell them, Like if I say today, oh, you like tomorrow's school, I would go, oh, you know, yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine from India, and then with this student, they'd go, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then when they come across a foreigner, especially not European, and they go, oh my gosh, I am able to speak to this person. And this when it clicks to them.
Yeah, in fact, you are so fortunate. Your students are also so fortunate to travel within Europe without any visa or passport formality.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. This is true. Last year I went. I was 2 weeks in Bath in the UK in England, and then 2 weeks in New York.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I took some student overseas. Yes, and this year I'm going to Ireland. I've never been to Ireland, so it's going to be the first time for me too, and I'm really excited. I'm going to Dublin. I have a small group though, but not a big group, like 12 or 13 students only, but that's okay. I like small, that we all know each other. I know the family and this and that, so it's very interesting.
Question, may I request you to give me a message to my students? A message.
Yes, well, the message I give it to you is what I say to my students. You know, learning English, at least for me, yeah, because when I moved to England when I was in my 20s, I was 20, and my English was not very good. But what I got from, from learning English, what I gained, it was really like I had all the doors open. And nowadays, your generation, maybe it's more challenging than my generation, okay? But you're much better. You have all the tools and everything. Keep on learning, keep on studying, because only knowledge can save you.